Alright, so the chapters we had to read for this week were Chapter 5 and Chapter 6. In Chapter 5, it talked about the Constitution and how it provides legal framework for the nation, federalism, which is the division of political power between a central authority and political units. Local government controls local matters. Federal government powers are specified by the Constitution. When it comes to separation of power, the legislative branch enacts laws and appropriate funds, the executive branch sees that the laws are executed, and the judicial branch interprets the law. The Commerce Clause empowers Congress to regulate commerce with foreign nations, Indian tribes, and among states, and it provides basis for federal regulation of business. This is important because as a business owner, it's important to understand what Congress regulates and where the different powers stand. When it comes to taxing and spending powers, it gives powers to lay and collect taxes, duties, imports, and it gives Congress spending power by authorizing it to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the U.S. The impact of the amendments on business. The Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, prohibits federal government from infringing on certain freedoms guaranteed to individuals. The corporate is treated as artificial persons. It keeps that from happening as well. First Amendment is the freedom of speech, press, religion, right to peaceful assembly. The Fourth Amendment protects the rights of individuals to be secure in persons, homes, and personal property. The Fifth Amendment protects against self-incrimination, double jeopardy, and right to trial by jury, and is protected by due process clause and can't be deprived of life, liberty, property without due process of law. The 14th Amendment prevents states from denying equal protection of the law to any citizen and provides discrimination that is not based on a sufficient justification. So as someone who's going into business, it's important to know the impact that these amendments have on a business, because you need to know your way around the law. You need to understand general concepts of like what's happening with the laws, and you have to be able to know this stuff so you know your rights. You need to know where the government stands, and you know like what you can do and you cannot do when it comes to legal or ethical standpoint. So the next chapter we had to read was Chapter 6, and it talks about criminal law, which punishes offenders for causing harm to the public health, safety, or morals, determines the range of punishment for prohibited conduct. The regulatory crimes, the punishment is less severe. But classifications of crime were treason, felonies, misdemeanors, and petty crimes. And criminal procedures are arrest, probable cause, and Miranda rights. White-collar crimes. White-collar crimes are actually an issue that's a lot bigger than a lot of people realize. They're committed in a commercial context by a member of professional managerial class. The corporations are liable for the criminal acts committed by the employee, and it is based on the 1991 sentencing guidelines that were towards these crimes. And then some of the white-collar crimes are bribery, violation of federal regulation, criminal fraud, larceny, and embezzlement. I'm currently taking legal elements of fraud, and we're learning a lot about these. And I did not realize how big of an issue white-collar crimes were, and it's not, when you think of white-collar crimes, some people think of like rich people, but it's not just rich people, it's just employees. For example, Wells Fargo a few years ago had a scandal where employees scammed customers out of billions of dollars because of they were just adding like extra costs and fees and charging them for things that they didn't need to be charged for. And like in my internship, I am learning about that as well. And yesterday, actually, we went through all the receipts, and you go through all the like bills and receipts from the year before to make sure that people aren't like charging you $100 more and that kind of stuff. It happens to a lot of people. I don't think people realize how many companies that actually happens to. Computer crimes. Virus damages data, worms infect any computer that uses like the file. So there's different ways. Those are the different ways that you could commit a computer crime, but there's also more ways. And then prevention of white-collar crimes are replace state with federal charting, appoint general public directors, and increase operating budgets of regulatory agencies. So those are the prevention concepts that came from the book, but I do feel like it's bigger than just that, and it's more complicated than that, and people always are going to try to find a way to get around things, so it's going to take more than just that to prevent white-collar crime. Some of the other things that this chapter talked about were the False Claim Act, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, the Whistleblower Protection Act, and global dimensions, which the global dimensions are improvements in technology have increased. The improvements in technology have caused the white-collar crimes to become bigger and become more occurrent, which is a big issue in America because we're losing a lot of money every year to this problem.